and Mr. Flory. I love it when you fake it in the beginning, and then
I just miss my own hands.
mm-hmm.
This is the level I'm operating at.
I do like
this should be good.
Flory. I like your coat. I like your coat.
Yeah, I'm freezing. I'm doing that. I've still got that thing where I'm just like, now I'm this cold old person that can't like do anything.
You're here with us with the Vice Press Open channel. I'm James Henshaw, and I'm with, as ever, Matt Ferguson, Flory, and Tom from Drop. How is everybody doing?
What's up?
Fucking idiot.
Doing okay. I got summer break now. School's out for summer.
Yeah, lazy teachers, mate. Lazy teachers. This is what I'm dealing with as well. I've got the kids off school 3 weeks. What do you need that for? It's the middle of the year.
Welcome.
You haven't even done. You had 2 years off. You haven't done anything. Like, they're dumb as dog shit. These kids. Let's get back into the classroom. We'll dock their pay. I say. That's my rant.
So you have a 3 week. No. You have a 3 week break in summer then. Like now, you're going into winter. Your winter.
We have two. We have like, I don't know. Yeah, we have 4 terms, right, which go from Feb 1st to I don't know, half a week before Christmas, and then in between there. So it's like 4 terms broken up. You have 2 weeks, 2 week breaks, and then the big 6 week one over summer. But we have our school has 3 in for the middle one because we're a private school.
So here's a question:
so the more you pay, the less they go.
Do you ever think we'll get this intro right, where it doesn't seem forced and fake and as professional? No, I don't think we will. No. So we're recording this episode a bit earlier than we promised, which is better to have more than less, I guess, because we've all seen Thor, Love and Thunder. So we thought, being the nerds that we are, that we would, rather than talk about it on Facebook and all of that stuff, we'd jump on and record something so both of our listeners can listen to our opinion on it as well. So, you know. So hi both of you. So
Ron, Caitlin.
Yes, super prescient, super Caitlin. Timely. Who wants to kick off? Who wants to talk about Thor, Love and Thunder? That's what we're going to talk about. Episode 16. We've all seen it. It's Friday here now.
So what is it? Love or Thunder?
It's Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
No, I mean like in terms of like
shut the fuck up.
Is it more in the love end or more in the thunder?
I like this movie.
The highs of it are like top end Marvel / just cool sci-fi stuff, and then there's a few bits that don't work as well. That's still fine, still work fine in my opinion. But it's obviously like a Marmite movie with people.
Yeah, I can see why it's so polarizing. I fucking loved it. I thought it was probably my 3rd favorite standalone Marvel film.
There's a few qualifiers there. That's like
you got to rate everything, because I said I loved it, and the first like thing is somebody like, where do you rate it in the other Marvel movies? I'm like, I hadn't thought about that. I just like it.
No, yeah,
that's one of those things.
Now.
That's an 8 years ago question, like when you could go, oh yeah, a bit better than Ultron, like, or something like that, when it was like 8 movies, 10 movies or something. Now that there's 36 properties or something, or whatever, including the shows, it's so much harder now, I reckon.
39 films, is it now?
I think films is like what? There's not that many.
29.
I think we're 25 was Shang-Chi, and then I don't know, 3 more, 28 now.
That out.
You put all the shows, and that's like a lot of ranking to do. But I thought the movie was really good. Like I just skipped out and saw it by myself, which is always, I find, the best thing to do, just on opening night, completely packed house. And if you told me people walked out of there not liking it, I don't know who the fuck they were, but because that place was going off, like everyone loved it, and me included. So yeah, fun movie.
Isn't it all about expectations for the people? I think that's the big problem here.
Yeah,
and I think it hit me as well, the expectations.
It's the same as Doctor Strange, not quite as much as that, because obviously that one people were upset that there wasn't enough multiverse stuff, because it was called the Multiverse of Madness, but that's not what it was about. Anyway, but yeah, you're right. It's because people going in and they're expecting a certain thing,
Mm.
And then when it's not that, see why they might get upset. But I really liked the romance, the love.
Do you think there's a lot of people now that are kind of waiting for these films to set up a bigger story, and a bit of like what the Marvel films used to do, and kind of they were more concerned, or there was not more concerned, but there was a big push on what's going to come next and what this is a bigger part of, whereas things like Multiverse of Madness and this. We should say really straight from the go, there's going to be spoilers all the way through. So if you haven't seen
spoilers from now,
don't listen to this because we're going to spoil the shit out of it.
Come back and listen later.
So
you might actually understand what we're talking about.
Caitlin and who's the other one, Florrie? If you two
Ron.
Ron.
Sorry, Ron, if you've not watched it, you can't watch this now.
Yeah, you've got to wait.
One person watching.
It's a very insular. It's very, apart from the kind of sting at the end, which was really cool. We'll come on to that in a bit, because I, as a fan of that character and that person who's playing that character, I thought that was great. Brett Goldstein playing Hercules, I thought that was full on spoilers straight off. I thought that was great. But it's a very self-contained film. Like Multiverse of Madness was kind of, it had carryover from WandaVision and carry on from other bits, but actually in itself, it's very kind of nice and self-contained. Like Shang-Chi was self-contained. And I was saying this to Matt yesterday. I think we're in going into the age now of Marvel films, that Marvel films as a whole have been quite broad in their appeal, and I don't know whether that's been deliberate by design or just as it is, and that's been a good thing, and they've been very good. But now we seem to be entering the age of the Marvel film, where actually like, fuck it, just let's really fully embrace these filmmakers and what they're wanting to do and make self-contained genre films, which I really dig. I mean, so far, Shang-Chi's a kung fu film and all that kind of stuff, which I like. Like those films, and you've got the horror stuff and the Sam Raimi stuff with Multiverse. So far, it's catered to me quite nicely, middle-aged nerd. Whereas Eternals tried it and it didn't work for me. I didn't. It was
there's an interesting abundance of these self-contained things, which is, how well is it working, or how well is it not? Because we've been conditioned to think that everything ties into everything, but there was a lot of complaints about that constantly. Then there's a lot of self-contained stuff that's not directly leading into anything, and it's, well, I don't like that. It's not tied into anything. And I think we need to be prepared too that now that there are so many films, however many there are, and so many shows and all this sort of stuff, it's not all going to be for you. And that's fine. And I think it's by design that way. The whole point is that there can be one for anyone. You might just like, in a couple of years' time, might like the kung fu arm or the magic arm or the space stuff or whatever. And that's fine. You don't have to like all of it. We also see these things, I think, and MCU. The MCU is one of my very favorite things, right? I don't like every single bit of it. It doesn't all work as well as I think that it should. But we also have this like candy-coated like view of the thing. I've just gone through with the kids and watched from Iron Man 1 to Avengers, because we all had COVID last week and we had nothing else to do. And I thought, they're the right age. We'll do that. They're simple films. And they are very simple films. And they're not as good as you think they are. So anyone that says, Iron Man 1 is the best one, fuck off. It's just not. It was made early. There's a lot of awkwardness about it. It's still a good movie. You can still like it. But if you come out and tell me that, like, fucking, I don't know, that Iron Man 1 is better than Thor Ragnarok, which I'm pretty sure I saw an argument for that the other day. I'm like, it just isn't. It's just not a better movie. It doesn't matter. You can say that it is, but like objectively it isn't. And a lot of these films aren't amazing. They're just fun and you can like them. That's fine. Or you can not.
Yeah,
I like them.
Yeah, I like them for the most part. I like them, and I like the shows for the most part as well.
I agree with you on that point, and I think that's the thing that people have to realize. That going back to what you were saying about expectations, Tom, people think that there kind of seems to be this expectation now that every film has to be better than the last film, and it has to kind of do that. And I don't think that's the case. You've got to take them as an entertainment value. And Taika Waititi, I think, is a good enough writer and a good enough director that everything in this film, I think, is deliberate. I don't think he's misstepped, and I don't think he's kind of necessarily done stuff. I think he knows that certain parts are going to be polarizing, and I think he knows that certain parts aren't going to be for some people in the tone and things. But it's kind of like, fuck it, this is what I want to do, and this is what I think is going to be great. The Stormbreaker.
Around and he's like, I was calling you a reviewer. It was so funny. Anyone that doesn't like that is just like, come on, that's just so funny. It's like his two girlfriends and the new one's jealous of the old one. That's
just James.
It was fun. But I was more on expectations, not of being better, but my expectations were in terms of the storyline that were missing since Phase 4. That I want this interconnectiveness, what Marvel gave me in the beginning, like a serial cinema, and as they announced it as Phase 4, so I thought there is going to be more. I mean, I hope this will pay out in the end, and if I rewatch it, I will get something out of it in terms of the whole content. But right now, I'm not feeling it from the latest movies where they want to go. I mean, it looks like God stuff in terms of like Eternals. That we had Eternals reference in there, like as Celestials, and we had obviously all the other gods in there. But I think
thought you're right. I think it's going to be a great big pink and purple Planet Eater, and the Fantastic Four are going to get involved, and that's what it's going to be. And they're just not showing that yet. And there's all these other big superpowered beings that are like uber powerful, and they're not going to be able to stop that big pink and purple dude.
If Phase 2 went for 10 years, that's where we are now. That's part of the problem, is that it's like we're kind of in the building and kind of like still we're expanding, like as you say, with the God part and the Celestials, and like we're opening up still so that we can eventually have something large that fits. And it's just a problem of having to do that, and they're obviously planning it longer, like the Infinity Saga itself. Like, how long did that take all up? Like 12 years?
I think it was 10 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that was like, bang, okay, it's done. They burnt like so much content there, and then they ended the thing, which is great because it gave us what we all needed, which was a journey and an ending. If I had to sat down and said, right, well, we've got to do that again, it's got to be bigger, it's got to bring in more characters, it's got to have way more threads, and it has to go for 15 years.
Yeah.
We'd be, right now, we're still in that little bit at the start.
So what's your question, Tom?
My question was,
what you want me to ask?
Crazy spoiler stuff. At the end, when we see when we are at Eternia, or this being that is like the shape, it looked a little bit like a mix between the Watcher and Galactus.
Yeah, it was very comic book. That was one of the best looking visuals that they've had in any of the movies. When the reflection, and then you realised, it was the girl with the hair. And then
I know it sounds
with her in real life. I was just like, that was just brilliant.
I know it sounds really stupid, but I was like tearing up at the visual of Eternity, like, because that's just, it is from the comics, like it's straight from it.
Isn't it also like a Spider-Man multiverse version that has a suit that looks like that? I'm not sure, but
who knows?
There's like some of the Madam Web stuff in there and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's that
Spider-Verse
style.
sucks.
It's like Kirby style cut out, and then you're one step away from Kirby Crackle. It was awesome.
Yeah. They do seem to be going. Florrie, you mentioned it, and Matt, you just kind of mentioned it as well. Going back to when the MCU started, you didn't, in Iron Man 2 and things like that, you didn't have very much of this kind of big bad building. It was, if anything, super, super subtle. But it ramped up towards the end of those phases. That's what we've kind of in the period of now. It's kind of, but people still want the pace of the latter part of those phases. However, I do think if you're paying attention, and what I've noticed a lot in Multiverse and in Shang-Chi and in Eternals, is this imagery, these Celestials, the Eternals. They all look like fucking Galactus at the end of the day.
Eyes and stuff, and they're all like his children or something, aren't they?
That's where we seem to be going. And like with the introduction of these kind of uber-powered people like Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel and Shang-Chi and now Hercules and stuff like that. And there's, I don't want to spoil. things for films that haven't come out, but obviously there's something that's been kind of leaked or around what's happening with Black Panther. You've got those kind of things that are starting to build up now, that are kind of building this next generation of Avengers that can theoretically take on these kind of things. So we're building up to that again. So
Is it?
It's just that the pace is different. We've gone back to the pace of that story to the start of Marvel because we're building a new team. We've still got that through thread of these characters, but we're kind of building on top of that now. Is my thought. I mean, people aren't going to agree with me, and I'm cool with that.
It took 4 years when they announced Thanos in the end credit scene, like from 2008 till 2012 when Avengers came out. I think that was the first one, right? When we heard about Thanos and then we knew
you
kind
see
of
him
what
at
was
the
going
end
on.
at the end of Avengers, yeah,
exactly.
And then so what's that? 2012 to 2018.
Yeah,
So that's another 6 years to actually do the whole thing. So
I like that they're doing something different with this. Like you say, there's lots of similar imagery across the films in terms of the way the magic is working and the way like things graphically look. And it's like a DNA. It's obviously designed on purpose to be that way, like the horns on the helmets and stuff, and the
100%.
the watchers and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's they're just approaching it differently, and it's more of a sort of pretty subtle thing. And then they're gonna go boom.
And they're also going out there in terms of like what else is to come, like with Secret Wars and stuff like that. We were going more and more into the space, basically, and like into the out of the galaxy there, and looking at other perspectives. And I think that is probably opens the door for what's his face, the Annihilation guy, who looks like Ultron bug thingy. Is he Nihilus? Is he called Nihilus?
I'm not sure actually.
I think it'll just goes to Galactus. It doesn't really matter. That's where it's going to go.
I mean, they have multiple choices. That's what I'm saying.
Like Flash Gordon, Crowe, Never-Ending Story.
Yeah,
Goonies,
Master of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe. It was hella those movies, and see, they're cheesy and corny and not good. But in that way, they are good. And this movie's like that. It doesn't. It's really like camp and kitsch and cool. And I love that. I really respond to that kind of thing in a film. That's why I like Flash Gordon is one of my favorite movies.
What was your most favorite part in the movie?
Just one quick thing. There's a lot of similarity actually between the way that Doctor Strange 2 really leans into the camp of Raimi's style and the horror aspects and stuff, and the way that this leans into, like you say, about the Flash Gordon of it all. It's interesting that both of them have really kind of sort of seemed to nudge a certain person the wrong way.
Yeah. There's two things I keep thinking about with the movie is obviously Love, the character at the end.
Chris Hemsworth's daughter as well.
She's just perfect, like beyond perfect. And how that ties in with gore, and it made me cry, and it was really, really, really good. And then randomly is the cage that's also like a weird shadow beast that the kids get put in. It's just so awesome. I just love it.
It was so Willow, like if that shit was around,
it's just like Krull and like weird stuff like that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the visual and some of the design through the film, like whether you like it or not, and whether the actual like CG of whatever character on screen was good at that moment, it doesn't matter. I think the ideas behind it all was so cool. Like the fact of colored light, or light in general, bringing color back to this void that color is scared to go to or whatever. I'm like, that's fucking cool. That's just cool. Yeah. When he started at the start, he started extending those shadows, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then they started to like grow in a third dimension. I was like, this is sick. Like
and they've got like
just swung me around.
Arms, eyeballs, teeth, just everywhere. It's like awesome sort of other dimensional stuff. It's
they almost look like they were animated at a different frame rate sometimes too, like they were stop motion or something. It was wild.
Henry Selick, Tim Burton-esque kind of thing, wasn't it?
In Flash Gordon, I've always loved the Hawkmen, right? Brian Blessed and his Hawkmen. They've got rubber wings. You can see the wires, and they're literally just like this, bobbing along.
But he's screaming his head off.
There's awesome rock and roll music, and they go down and he's hitting people over the head, Brian Blessed, and screaming in their faces and stuff. and this is that. So
Speaking
some
of
of the
awesome
effects
rock and roll
might be a
music.
bit cheesy, but it for me it makes it better that some of the effects are really cheesy because it's just like part of the charm for me. It's just ridiculous.
It's deliberate, isn't it? I think it's kind of it's
so.
completely deliberate. The same as like with Raimi, with those kind of with the noise, with the kind of thing with the eyes and stuff like that. It's there. Whether it's going to be everyone's cup of tea and whether it's going to land is one thing, but it's very much there.
I had a coffee,
deliberately.
right? I had a coffee because we watched it really early in the morning, and I have a coffee. It always makes me need a wee. So, but I wanted to watch the movie, and I really needed a wee. And the bit when they crash into that shadow planet, the goats go.
The goats were so
done
good.
The joke with the goats screaming, which is so stupid, but just because they crashed.
Every single time it was funny.
I nearly pissed myself laughing. It was so funny.
It was funny every single time too. I'm like, this will get old. It didn't.
No,
it was always funny.
No,
and it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been. But he knew. Like they know it's just they're fucking stupid and it's funny. Like it's a dumb joke, but if it keeps working, keep doing it.
That's the thing. Some people don't like the dumb humor. Some people don't like that Jane is like funny and she's trying to do stupid catchphrases and stuff.
But she's deflecting. Like it's so.
She's sick, so she's just trying to cover because she doesn't want anybody to know she's sick and they're on an adventure.
She's trying to be him. She's trying to live up to like. She's trying to put off this like whole. I'm trying to be a good Thor. Like that's what she's trying to do because she thinks it's the last thing she's ever going to do, which is exactly correct.
Yeah. Do you So we'll talk about a little bit about the stuff that maybe you didn't think landed as well. And I don't. This isn't me talking negatively, but I think there are going to be some comments. And Tom, you have some. You're very good at kind of being a bit more objective, maybe than I am with some of these things. I think so. For me, the whole Natalie Portman's arc through this was incredible. The way that she acted it, the way that they did it, and the way that they kind of had that emotion throughout of it, both of them, and how they reacted to that. Was brilliant and it was very real. Do you feel that the whole Valhalla thing at the end, the kind of credits thing, do you think that undermined that? I mean, we've got to wait and see where that goes because there's Valhalla and the Valkyries. Valkyries in the comics can travel between Valhalla and Earth, and there's the kind of Tessa Thompson thing, and I think it's opening up the next Thor film is what they're doing. But do you think that kind of maybe possibly undermined that a little bit, that kind of story thread?
I would say that so far with Afterlives, and I think they're deliberately trying to show us more of them. They've shown one in Miss Marvel, Black Panther. Like they're obviously saying, no, it's not just you don't just go up and see mate Jesus at the gates or whatever. We got them all. Like they're all here.
Yeah.
And same with all the God stuff and all that.
Yeah, like the Afterlife stuff in Moon Knight as well.
As well. Yeah. So there's, I think lately, especially, it feels like they're really showing them. But they haven't. What they haven't done is used it to cheat yet. So they've always been an excuse to have a conversation with Black Panther's dad after the fact, or I'm assuming in the next Thor or something, like to have a conversation with Jane after his heart stops beating for a second or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they can use it. He can see old mate with the eyes and shit, and
I would have preferred
as long as they don't use it to just people just running in and out of like Afterlives and coming back all the time. That's when you have a problem.
Yeah,
I would have preferred it if it wasn't Idris Elba. I would have preferred it if it was Rene Russo because they shared screen time.
That would have been
the Dark World,
good.
and it's like it would have worked more.
But I really did enjoy the fact that he said like, "Oh, thanks for looking after my kid." Like that was pretty cool. I was like, that was very because having that kid in this movie, I was like, "Well, that's big gear." Like he's got the eyes, and like when he's got Stormbreaker at some point, I'm like, "Oh, this kid's something." Like we've got a guy here. We've got another. The next generation thing is very much like people complain like, "Oh, it's all women and kids or whatever now." Like. Great, I like both of those things, but but they're doing it well. Like those things are good, so keep it going.
I have to say that was old enough will love that movie because of the bit when all the kids get superpowered. And there's that little girl with the superpowered rabbit, and it's just I just thought like little kid me would have just thought that was the coolest thing ever because you think the kid's just going to get rescued by Thor, but no.
Yeah, two of my favorite jokes were with the kids. Like there was the bit on the boat where it was on about we'll bring your kids back and we'll feast. not on the children. I was like, fucking great. The delivery was perfect. Chris Hemsworth is one of the best comedic actors of our generation, I think. But the other bit, there was the kids bit. So there was a kid with a rabbit. But my favorite bit in that is where you got that really tiny, like 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and she's just got this little bit of string, and then she like slits this fucking thing in half.
And she just like.
Yeah, I love that shadow
my wife
shadow
wasn't
kid
a fan
part.
of that because she doesn't like kids being violent. But I was like, oh,
Kids are violent. Kids are scary as
Kids are always
shit. Sorry,
like that.
Tom, go for it. You were making a point.
I just want to say again that the part with the shadow and this kind of like scary story for kids, and like having Cork telling this kind of story. I think this overall kid feeling mythological arc was really good, and I really enjoyed that, and I think they brought it very well together when he deputized the kids basically in a godly way.
Yeah.
That was really great.
Yeah, when he was like giving them all, and he's like for a limited period only.
Having it narrated by Korg is a really good device as well, because he's not necessarily the most
Credible.
reliable narrator, is he?
Exactly.
It's sort of his third-hand view of things. So when he's talking about the relationship that they had,
Yeah, it's
kind
like
of
Michael.
ridiculous ways, because he's fighting the information.
It's
That's
like Michael
one-
Pena, like in
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah, it's that. It's just like, okay, so how much of this is exaggerated by Korg, which is kind of cool.
That's one of the things that I think they did very, very. One of the things I think they did very, very well with that, which could have been ham-fisted, was how Mighty Thor got her powers as well, and they kind of did that through they kind of laced it in. Like at the start, it was like, oh, she just happened to go to Asgard and get it, but then they were like telling that story through when when Thor is like when
It's goat, not horse.
when Thor's like take care of a Mjolnir, and it's kind of like he has this little kind of
Well, the
China thing. I think it's
the triangle thing comes on, doesn't it? Which is the same thing when Odin puts the spell on it.
It's the little, it's the Siri, like it just comes on whenever it's listening and starts spinning around.
So anyway, that's all well and good. This film's really good. Everything, all these things are really good. The storyline's really good, but we've not talked about the most important fact. That is Russell Crowe and the choices that he made with his everything.
So
with his accent,
Russell Crowe, right?
Howie.
Russell Crowe is an Australian, like we stole him from New Zealand, yeah? So I'm assuming that he has frequented an Australian fish and chip shop in the 70s and 80s, 90s even, which is when I went. So here, all the fish and chip shops traditionally are run by old Greek immigrants, and they sound exactly like Russell Crowe sounds.
Interesting.
So I was like, he's actually doing the fish and chip shop owner, which is bizarrely like
it's like a kebab shop owner.
Yeah, so it's bizarrely like focused. Like I've never been to Greece, so I don't know if their old guys just sound. I'm assuming they sound very similar, but like that's my sort of reference for that accent. And I was like, he's actually kind of doing it. Like, and I'm surprised that they let him do it, and I'm surprised that he wanted to do it, but I'm glad that he did do it, because if he just sounded like a Tolkien character in like vague English or whatever, like that's almost that's not what we're doing anymore, right? Like I get that he's not Greek, but at least they did something there. And I'm assuming that old mate Hercules will be have a very similar. He won't have an American accent when. Yeah, so as long as they keep it consistent, I think that's totally fine. But it was fucking hilarious when he came out.
When he comes down the steps and the little and then when he's spinning the lightning bolt around, he's just.
I flicked too hard. I'm sorry.
What are you doing? Oh god.
When he paused and lifted his skirt up to go down like 3 steps, I almost wet my pants. Like that. It was so funny. Oh, Rusty. And I don't even like Russell Crowe. This, to me, give him the Oscar for this. Fucking way better than that.
This performance and then that trailer performance. You've seen the trailer performance, right? For that stupid. He did like a sort of thriller where he's like a psycho that goes after somebody who gives him a bit of
unhinged.
Yeah. But the trailer is him telling you to go see the movie. Have you seen that trailer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, mate, I'm going to send you and it's just him, like, telling you how it's the best film ever. And it's just like, He knows that it's not, and that it's a load of shit. But it's just it's the best trailer for a film I think I've ever seen.
He's just playing my dad on a Sunday afternoon.
He plays comedy very well, doesn't he? Like the is it the
No, he doesn't.
Oh, I think he does.
That's the thing. That's why this is
the other guys though, he's really good in that.
The other guys, that's it.
The other guys almost annoyed me.
It's the Nice Guys.
Nice Guys, yes. So that almost annoys me because I love that film, and I don't think he's usually, and he's not my cup of tea. Put it that way. You know, everyone has somebody, and my irrational hatred of actor is Russell Crowe. It's just.
Okay, really.
He's brilliant in that. The Western that Sam Raimi did before he's brilliant.
Quick and the Dead.
Yeah. Obviously, Gladiator, I think, is a brilliant movie.
He's kind of.
I do like Russell Crowe.
I put Russell Crowe in the same category as old mate from Gerard Butler, where he's
he's on another level. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Where he's got
like stings for Rusty, I think.
Where you've got like this, they've got like so much potential to do. Like they've done incredible performances in incredible films. And same as Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is the same. Yeah, no, the Oscars don't mean shit. You've said Oscars don't mean shit.
Yeah, but I mean, Russell Crowe is like a proper A-lister.
Yeah,
also,
okay.
The thing about Russell Crowe is he doesn't care. He's not like, I'm staying fit and I'm gonna try and keep my youthful looks. He's just like, I'm having beer and I don't care. You can have me as I am.
And put abs on the chest plate, mate. Just do that. that's what you'll do. He was brilliant in it. It's hard to say MVP because I think there were so many great individual parts.
He was definitely the funniest thing in it by a long way. He was hilarious.
Great.
When Matt Damon and is it Luke Hemsworth were like no one said we can't make another like piece based on this, and just walk off talking about like scenes and lines. And
Melissa McCarthy, I loved her as Hela as well.
That was bizarre. That joke was maybe the only joke that felt like a repeat Ragnarok, that also was can I just take it one step further for the. So it was a callback, obviously, and I think that is a bit that people could probably get hung up on, because then they think, oh, this whole film is just like Ragnarok.
It's a much simpler film overall than Ragnarok. I didn't. Yeah, there's not a lot. It's weird, but for something with so much like flash and pizzazz and like all actors and whatever, it's a very simple movie.
Very Taika Waititi story, isn't it? It's very.
It just sort of go. It just sort of a thing happens, and then they have to go sort the thing, and then they have an issue halfway through, and then they come back and sort the thing. Like, and there's a few but not like twists and turns and like, oh my god, would change the whole ball game. Not really.
The point of it is
character focused, you know.
Yeah, it's one of. Sorry, Matt, I talked over you then.
I'm just saying it's character focused, which is a good thing.
Yeah. It's one of those where the actual the kids and the gore and all of that isn't the kind of main thing. The main thing is what's happening with the characters throughout, which is just a longer way of saying what you've just said.
See Bale, very good.
Yeah.
Very creepy boy.
Did you notice that they kept flipping him?
His accent and stuff, or
his actual face, the frame was flipped quite a few times. Because he's got like a little thing on his nose, and it was.
Oh, okay.
I always notice shit like that in films. They do that a lot when they want coverage to be a certain way and they've not got it. And a good example would be in Hellboy, the first Hellboy. His big red hand changed sides several times in that. You just don't notice, do you? But you do.
Left hand of doom.
Did you think that was cool that he's cut off? I did. That he cut off all of the markings.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you would, wouldn't you?
Like the God thing, weren't they? He was like, I renounce my God. I thought that was a cool little character.
And I like that we didn't even, you just know what it means. You didn't have to see him and having like a whole fit or whatever over it. He's just like, no, I'll sort it out. And then come back with this sick fucking sword and all these weird shadows and shit. I thought he was amazing. Like just his line delivery and like his just overall creepy. Again, to that like design of it all, like the way they use shadow and his obviously like the eyes and stuff in the dark was fucking crazy.
They established characters very well in that film, and I think that's one of the things that I've been kind of, when I've been reading reviews and people's thoughts, they've kind of overlooked a lot. So Gore was very quickly established, and his motivations and your empathy towards him, and you kind of buying into him, that was quickly established very, very well. Portman, she was really,
I was on his team straight away.
It reminded me of like the Star Trek, the way they like set up Captain Kirk's dad and like his sacrifice in like the first 5 minutes of Star Trek, and you're like, this is emotional. And I was like that. I was nearly crying before the Marvel Studios because it was just like quite visceral. It was really good.
You just reminded me of something. That Marvel Studios intro.
Oh yeah, rock and roll. Like, it's got that deadly serious opening, and you're like, oh, he's a baddie, and then I was like, okay, yeah. Okay,
the music of it all was very, because you're like, what are you going to do? What's the song going to be? So we knew that we had Guns N' Roses, and that was going to be the song, and we thought, I thought, he'll use that 3 times throughout, just like he did Immigrant Song. That'll be the kind of what is it, like not the style guy, but kind of it sets the tone for the thing, right? Okay, this one's the rock and roll one, and then to just use that album basically,
an album,
and but use it each one kind of perfectly placed. I was like, oh well, brilliant! Like you've done it. You've used, I'm using the song over and over again, but you're really not. You're using different pieces by the same band.
I think maybe because that's coming after Stranger Things has done it so well with Kate Bush and stuff, that people, like normal people, will be like, oh, I've seen this already this year, music being used.
Don't really care. It's just a thing
sort of
now.
General vibe of like not liking that aspect.
If anything, James Gunn brought that in with Guardians 1, and that's been the template that Marvel overall has taken.
The Guardians were in there, so
yeah. They were great. I love sparing use of them as well. Like, I thought they didn't overstay or anything. They didn't get in the way. What they did was they explained exactly
just getting married.
Yeah,
they were like
over and over again. I love that he just is a Guardian.
Know how he did it. He's just like,
I want to come back real quick to Gore, Christian Bale's character, and I would have loved to see some more actually God butchering in this case. Yeah. So that would have been really great to see that, because I mean, he's a God butcher. He's very kind of scary, and people have to be like, gods have to be or are afraid of him actually. And I would have loved to see more of the action, not just a montage of the ones that he killed or threatened or whatever.
How did he find out about eternity? Like, because he's obviously started off just, I'm going to go one by one, start low-level gods, build up, get my way through. And then, so did somebody tell him about it that we didn't know about?
I took it as a legend that people know, like in planets, and it's a legend that you can have your wish. You can have your wish granted if you get to the center of the universe. Like
there's been kind of scene there, just for us as an audience.
There's 2 cut scenes though, isn't there? There's one with Peter Dinklage's character, and there's one with
I think there's heaps that they can.
Yeah, well, there's at least 2 there's at least
Game
2
of Thrones.
Cersei,
what's her name? She was in it, and she's been cut, hasn't she?
Yeah, and it's the other one. Jeff Goldblum's character as well. There's one with him.
Right. So that's maybe the only flaw. The only thing I didn't like about the film was like, I would have, and it's not. I can't really see it as something that was bad, because I just wanted more stuff. Like that's all it was. I was like, at the pace, we moved almost too quickly for some of it, and I don't think that anything was taken away from with comedy beats ruining this, that, the other. Like I don't go for that, because that's how people are. Like all I'd ever do is deflect with comedy, like that in life all the time. I laugh my way through funerals and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like that's what people do. That's how they talk. Stupid goats will bleat at the most inopportune moment. That's just how it is. But I would have wanted just another scene here with, Portman and Hemsey together, or just another, like you say, Tom, maybe like him just, I don't even want him butchering gods. I want him to go up and give like a Christian Bale speech, like as to why you're about to go down, just a few times or something like that, But if we had done that,
critique that's one other thing that I was missing, because they had a good point on like going a little deeper than just the surface level and having this religious critique like on gods and what they give us and what they don't give us, and I think that would have been interesting.
the argument can be made that we got it like the first time he did it that one time, and we just and we see which ones he's
it's a
taken
very
down.
Economic film. It's
Yeah,
less
very.
and
That's
more.
right.
It's like
Yeah, it's just 2 hours.
Going back to Star Trek, the first 2009 one, J.J. Abrams one.
Mm.
That's a really economic, simple narrative, you know, and it's just breakneck pace, and it's fun. And this is like that. It's it's not like reaching for like some sort of grand epic feel. It's just really good adventure.
It reminds
it's a classic
me a bit
Thor
of
adventure, you know.
Another classic Thor adventure. That shit's brilliant too. Like having him just be like, you know, because he's like what 1,500 years old or something like that. And it's like we forget that this.
It's
shit
just like every time he's like done this before. It's like I'm gonna get you. Like he says to Gore, I'm like gonna get you for this. And you just think he probably is actually.
And the way his flippancy in battle, I really liked in this as well, because it is a bit nonsensical that he's been battling for 1,000 years and doing all this sort of shit, and then what? Hang on. So the things that have affected him the most, that one time he fought the robot man with his new mates, like. I know that has to be that way because we've experienced that as the audience, but also he would just because there was like this whole battle's going on around him, especially when he sees Jane and that, and they're just having a conversation while the rest of New Asgard are like battling these new creatures, and he's just sort of like, oh yeah, but like blah 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 blah, and you're like, and I've seen a complaint about that as well. I'm like, no, that's how he would be because this is nothing to him. He's seen it for so long, and he always wins. Like
that's why at the beginning with the chicken bikers.
Yeah,
he just shows up like
care.
towards the end, and he's just like, right, let's finish this then, and then just whacks them all, and like all the Guardians couldn't do it, but it's because he's just been doing it for so long, and he's just like, this is just a laugh, really.
Yeah,
Thor we could use your help.
Down, like minimal damage or whatever.
Minimal collateral damage.
Oh, I love goats.
And those priest dudes are so funny. They're just like,
yeah, I'm getting mad now. You're making me mad. Stop talking. Stop talking.
And they just all want to get rid of him. Like they're not interested at all.
He's like, you can have the ship. You served me well, and like you're giving me my own ship.
One thing that did stand to remind me, that whole Guardians thing, and I think it is Chris Pratt. When Chris Pratt has been in so much shit recently. It kind of just reminded me of, oh, okay, cool. This is why people started to like Chris Pratt, and I think he just needs to get away from doing dross that he seems to have been. But although saying that, you quite liked that new Amazon thing, didn't you, Tom?
Yeah, I think it was as I put it, your dad's favorite new show.
Yeah, he can watch Jack Ryan, and then he can watch this garbage.
Jack Ryan's great.
It wasn't
boring.
We started For All Mankind last night on.
I would like to watch that.
Apple TV. But damn, 2 episodes, absolutely brilliant.
It's good, right?
It's Ronald D. Moore, obviously one of the best like science fiction / just writers ever. It's just awesome. Do you know what it is, James?
No, is that the Taron Egerton one?
No, it's the dude from RoboCop. Can't remember his name.
Joel Kinnaman.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it starts with the moon landing, and it's not the Americans that get to the moon first; it's the Russians. And it's just like, what if that happened, and what would happen with the space program and all that stuff? It's just brilliantly written. It's just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, wait for next season. The next season's also really great.
Yeah.
So let's do
some Apple TV, man, because Apple TV's got that. It's got Ted Lasso. It's got Severance. It's got
Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest.
I did like turn that off.
Did you not? Did you not like it? Oh, I liked Mythic Quest.
Weird.
Apple are making it really hard for me not to pay them more money. Like,
what else has it got that's really good? Oh, Slow Horses. Have you guys watched Slow Horses?
No,
not yet. Is it that good?
Oh, Slow Horses is really good. Yeah, Gary Oldman's great in it.
Ooh,
just nice
I like
sort
Gary
of spy program.
If you can get
spy, it's really good.
I mean, Apple for me, Florrie. I get it, and we get it. Apparently, it's free.
I've had it offered to me free many times, and I did have it early on.
a really
I had it early on, and there was nothing on it for the year that I had it. So I was like, well, I'm not paying for this ever. And then they just keep releasing really good content. It's almost like annoying. I'm like, do I have to get another fucking thing?
You would
like,
absolutely love Severance. Brilliant.
I know. I want it. I love Adam Scott. Yeah, he's always good.
Good head.
There you
as
go.
well.
Right, so what we're going to talk about now?
So we're going to do some
I'd like-
random.
oh.
Oh, sorry. Go, Florrie. You talk.
I don't know.
I was going to say, should we have a guess where things are going to go from here? With because I think.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
It opens.
I love
up.
where they ended it. I love the whole kid like dad Thor thing. That's actually really interesting because that's not something that we've really seen, and it really grows the character from like Dum Dum Thor. Like we've kind of had that now. I think one thing the MCU does good is moves things on. As much as you might hate it, and you're like, oh, I want the original Hulk from the Avengers again. We never saw him again. It's like, yeah, well, things fucking move on. It's been like 8 years in the timeline or whatever, you know? So I think it's a good idea to give us a new dynamic. And also, if Taika does another one, I think he writes parental stuff really well. Yeah, so I can't wait to see what he does with that. Whether the kid's aged up, whether it's still Hemsey's kid or whatever, that'd be brilliant.
Could Taika do, like, thinking outside of Thor? Could Taika almost do a young? I think he'd be a good choice for a young Avengers film. I think he'd quite be good. Be good at helming that and bringing that together.
Be good at anything. This Star Wars would be very interesting.
He's not going to make that movie.
No,
that's my current hot take. Is that people are asking about it too much, and he's just going to be like, "Oh, but I've got kind of like this. Oh, I've got this movie about a kid that collects bugs." Okay, cool.
It was like that when he was doing Akira, and it was just like.
Everyone just wants him, and he just kind of. I'd do the same thing. It would
doing
be
a Flash Gordon remake.
Yeah, because originally it was a cartoon.
We know
now it's live action.
The poster you're supposed to be doing is the least interesting one, right? So there's no way he's gonna like push on with this, especially when he's telling everyone that he hasn't written anything. I'm sure he has. Like he's just a smart ass, but I don't think
Flash
you're gonna
Gordon
see it
is something
soon.
I really would like to see him do because obviously he's done it twice now with Thor and just that kind of film that I love.
Yeah, I think what he ends up doing is just making his own space adventure at some point, and it's not branded as anything. Because why would you brand it if you don't need to? He's a Taika Waititi's space movie. Like he doesn't have to do that anymore unless he wants to.
Oh, you mean like Zack Snyder's doing with Rebel Moon? Is it Rebel Moon?
Yeah,
that kind of thing. But he did. There's been some quite interesting.
More power to him. Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. There's been some news like articles with Taika at the minute recently. Like someone questioned him and going, if you're doing a Star Wars movie but it's not linked to any existing characters and it's completely made up, why does it need to be Star Wars? And he was like, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Why am I doing a Star Wars movie? Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. But I did like the logo. The logo for that.
The reason why in today's modern filmmaking world is because they won't get them funding.
No.
You have the brand recognition.
But he might though. He's the brand almost.
It depends on this film. I think this one's going to be like if this does.
It's not James Cameron, is it? It's not James Cameron who's like, I will have 4 more Avatar movies, and they go, okay.
Oh, on the subject.
The trailer was good though in the cinema.
Oh.
This is something I wanted to talk about. What's your feeling on Avatar with him saying, actually, I'm going to ditch doing these last 2?
That's
and
him
get someone else.
just covering his ass in case this one flops because he's getting worried that nobody's bothered about it.
Yeah, I think so. It happened with Alita, didn't it? Which was, God, I mean, Robert Rodriguez. That's your first mistake, given it's Robert Rodriguez, as we've found out recently.
Correct. You know, I went off on him when we were talking about Mando and stuff like that. That film I put on as like background noise and thought it was better than anything he's done. Like I thought it was pretty interesting and pretty well made with the budget.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
And the world that they built was like good. Like you could make more of that. It had similarities to this Thor thing. It was like fucking absolutely batshit. Like why would a man build his entire body out of knives and just keep his face? I don't know, but he did, and it's fucking crazy.
But it's not James Cameron level, is it?
The trailer for the new Avatar in the cinema hit a lot better than it did watching it on an iPad or whatever.
I actually saw it first in the cinema because I wasn't bothered to watch it, and
visually
I
is
forget
very
what it was
striking,
before.
obviously, but also it's kind of like the baddie dude, the general dude. He's the blue guy now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Sigourney Weaver's the kid, isn't she?
Yep.
The only
Don't
the only
count him
problem
out
with
though,
Abbott.
because he's not made a bad movie.
Oh,
No,
It's true.
I'm not. I admit that when I saw that trailer in the cinema, I was much more like, oh yeah, actually, I'll go and it landed better, didn't it?
my dad was a bit of a cinephile, and he always said, like, his famous one was like that two people have never made a bad film: Gene Hackman and James Cameron. That's it.
Gene Hackman,
He
didn't
just-
he do
Never
Public
met that.
Enemy #1?
Never made a bad film.
Gene Hackman was pretty consistently good, though, wasn't he?
Yeah. yeah, it
French
was.
Connection is a
Like
great.
he had a point, but
Alita
I
wasn't
think
bad.
it's discounting a bit.
Talking about batshit crazy sci-fi films, did you ever see that Luke Besson one that had the kid out
No.
of
Yes,
Spider-Man?
Planets in your
Valerian?
thing.
Yeah, I enjoyed Valerian. It was. Did you not? Oh, I liked.
Fifth Element. It was just trying so hard,
Yeah.
but it didn't have a charismatic dude. It just had that weird goblin kid.
Oh, I
Dane
liked
Not a
DeHaan.
likable
Dane
person.
DeHaan,
is
that's
he?
it.
He'd be better as a slimy villain or like a businessman.
Yeah. He seems to have
What-
disappeared now, doesn't he?
It's very annoying because he had so much, like, you just look at him and he's a Gerard Butler. You're like, get a better fucking agent. You could have been the guy, you know? Like, you had it. People were talking about you, but
Who?
then just that kid, the smarmy
Dane
kid,
DeHaan.
Dane DeHaan.
There are a
He's
few.
not likable, so he can't be the lead, can he? That's the thing. He can't be the lead because he's not likable.
That Bert might have shown on
True.
the camera. I don't know. We'll have to see in the editing.
I'm hacking my guts out
On the
over here.
mic. You.
Oh, that wasn't a burp. Like, I'm trying to
But
get
there's
shit out of my-
there's another kid like that, Taron Egerton. I really like Taron Egerton. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's
Yeah.
kind of what?
Eggsy,
Eggsy.
Ada the Eagle,
Moomin. Yeah,
Kingsman.
Elton
Moomin.
John.
Yeah, he's been
Moomin
an
Carter's
Elton John.
really good voice of
He's
Moomin.
got it. He's got it. That kid's
What
got it.
do you
He'll get it.
think
He'll
they
get
Be
something.
Wolverine, yeah.
Yeah, I was
That's what
going to
they
say.
say.
What do
I
you
can
think
take
about
People
him?
saying it.
I think it'd be quite good. I think it'd be quite interesting take.
I still
on
want Bob Hoskins as Wolverine.
Danny
that. There's a couple of things standing in the way
Right.
of that.
Wolverine.
he needs to be older than the other kids, and he needs to be grumpy, and he needs to be 5'2" or whatever. You know, like, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He can't be too handsome, but I get
Well, I
it
was
that it's also a movie.
So Taron Egerton as Wolverine for me maybe is a tad too young. Sorry, but I do.
I don't think he's
quite
that young
like-
though.
He's
30
32.
odd, isn't he?
Yeah,
I think that's fine, because if they do what they should do, which is maybe the only fucking property that should be a Disney Plus show, is to make just an X-Men Xavier's Mansion B team kids running around in the thing. Like, if they cast them really young, and it's like what's his dick, 16 Candles guy, like that sort of, if it's just
John
teen
Hughes thing.
teen drama, yeah, and everyone's kind of running around with superpowers at the same time, then you have the movie team. And then at some point, this 32-year-old old man comes in and kind of joins the thing. That's how you do it. You don't start
how I
with
feel.
Taron Egerton as Wolverine.
Yeah,
You don't start
That's
there.
how I feel at school. The old man.
the old
Yeah, the old
dude.
man.
I think they
The
might
old
do.
dude. Taron Egerton is
do
bombed. I want.
X-Men through Deadpool. I think they might do the X-Men through Deadpool. That's the end, because Deadpool got the X-Men right in those two movies.
The most
Making a
that it
third
has ever
Deadpool.
been done, yes.
So the third Deadpool, I won't be surprised if he's talking about being Wolverine in that. Or something. They're making it soon,
maybe.
aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's a
I'll
good
take
point.
what they'll. X-Men's my favorite. Like, that's my favorite thing. I was always the cartoon, the comics, like, collected the cards, and almost everything I know about at Marvel and other comics that I ever read was because that character showed up in an X-Men comic, or the X-Men were in that Avengers comic, so I had to get it. So if they could please just do it while I'm still alive and do it really well, like, that'd be great. I'll be poor because I have to buy all the fucking things that have a yellow and black X on
When
them.
I did that interview for the Thor poster thing, they asked me, like, it's not on theirs. One of the questions they asked me was like, why do you think superhero movies are so popular now, and what is it about them that's so good? And I said, well, It's just because they're true to the source now, and like to be honest, like the stories were best for me was the X-Men cartoon back in the 90s. It was just perfect. That was the perfect adaptation. And all they have now is they just have the means to do it with really good effects. So if they do a new X-Men, it should just be that cartoon, but just with really good live action effects.
Yeah.
They could do a lot with X-Men too, like because they don't necessarily have to. Well, at the start,
have
they
the
probably need to
spandex.
pick.
Who cares? Because like Bryan Singer famously was like, no spandex, no comics on the set and stuff, and it was just like,
yeah. And look how he turned out. See?
Not me. What?
Fucking hell.
This young production assistant called Kevin Feige was like giving Hugh Jackman X-Men comics on the slide.
Yeah. Like they know what they're doing. As much as we're like, oh, it's a little bit aimless at the moment in this phase. It's like, no, we trust in Kev. Big Kev, we trust. Like the guy's fucking proven himself. So shut the fuck up, sit back, watch the movies you want to watch, and just let me have my things, okay? Let me have nice things, please. I need something.
I still want to see Old Man Logan though, with Hugh Jackman and Jeremy Renner as old.
Oh,
doing like the crazy stuff, having like Red Skull in there, Hulk,
have like the Hulk with like a big grey beard and stuff. Yeah.
But you have that. It's called the comic book. That's what the MCU is not. It's not a slavish because it wouldn't work. That's the thing. It just wouldn't.
That's the thing. Lots of people are like this. Gore the God Butcher. They've ruined his storyline. It's not the same as the comic. It's like.
Any of the villains are the same. They change them to kind of actually make them work within the story that they're.
Look,
doesn't need.
Does everyone? And when I mean everyone, I mean not even us four. Everyone likes Civil War, right? That's not the fucking comic at all.
No,
literally nothing about it. And it's good. So shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter. Like as long as they take it as a starting point and make it make sense in the universe that they've built, we'll be just fine. And if by the way, if they could stop making like every show not be good in the end, that'd be good too. That's all I'll say. Stop doing that. Stop getting my hopes up.
I haven't watched Miss Marvel yet.
Which is everybody's favorite Marvel show so far?
The latest episode. The latest episode really got me on Miss Marvel. The latest one. I had me in tears at the end.
We need to.
Not because of the content. No, I love the family. I love their background. Like that's really interesting, and that it's being explored in a good positive way. I think every actor in it is almost every actor in it is good. I just think that these shows seem to be hamstrung by like, what are we gonna do? Okay, someone with the opposite powers or close to, like we're still gonna do that, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's like, no, stop putting a yellow thing on the guy's hand when she's got the blue thing. It's fucking stupid.
James didn't see it, Flory.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry.
Look,
don't worry.
Whatever.
But it doesn't. That's not a spoiler. It's so fucking obvious because they have nothing else. They've got a really interesting storyline. This show should have not had superhero stuff in it. And I don't think it would have mattered. They have to stop worrying about that. She could have still been in the Marvels later. Like, that's fine. She can do her superhero things in that and just say, I was practicing with my mate. That's why I'm good at it now. That's fine. We don't need this. And stop doing it. Thank you.
Fair. So a couple of questions to finish up on. What's your kind of predictions based on where Thor ended? Where do you go back to the question that I actually asked about?
Whether we
didn't answer.
I've already covered this one, James. Yeah.
Where's your predictions for where it's going to go? What's next? What's next for Thor?
You already said.
Okay.
Love and Thunder. I don't know what they're going to call it because they've already called this one it. But yeah, it'll be him grappling with all that, and he'll go see Jane at some point and say like, "Am I being a good dad?" Because that's all we worry about, and we think we're failing.
He's gonna go see Odin probably.
Ratings?
Yeah, they'll all be
Are we
there.
gonna rate it?
Who knows?
What do we want to rate?
I can't rate it.
No.
I can't rate it because it's a good movie that sits probably somewhere in
on
the
a personal level, like sort of because I could be objective about it, but I'm not going to be. I choose not to be. Personally, I just loved it.
Yeah.
But it was that kind of cheesy sci-fi movie that I love. I love Flash Gordon, and I know a lot of people would watch Flash Gordon and think, "What is this shit?" But I just love everything about it, and the cheesy, bad things make me love it even more. So I like it warts and all.
So this week I've watched like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 MCU things, right? This was the second best one.
What was the best one?
Not gonna say. Episode 5 of Miss Marvel coming at you on Disney Plus. No. Probably Avengers still, except for the start where they filmed it with someone's like, I don't know, they made it look like an episode of CSI. I don't know.
Oh
why
yeah,
they
when
did
it's
that.
like really dark as well, and you just can't see what's going on.
It's just really bizarre. It always throws me off, and like,
and then it
even the
opens
kids.
up.
I know how my daughter's my daughter because we watched them all, and we came to the Avengers, and it started, and it looks like a TV show, and she's like, "Why is this?"
Why did they let Joss
and
Whedon
I said,
not
"Thank
have
you."
it full widescreen? Because it's like 16.
It's partly that, but it's weird because the rest of the film has more like grain and lighting to it and stuff. It's really bizarre that it's just that opening scene in the Shield base with the Tesseract that looks like an episode of CSI. It's fucking weird.
Agents of Shield is what it looks like.
Yeah, that shit. Yeah,
I need to go back and rewatch it. Tom, what's your final thoughts?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I would have seen a couple of things more. I was very entertained, had good laughs. We cheered in the cinema when Jane popped up and everything, so that was kind of cool. Like people were actually going along with it.
Yeah, my cinema went absolutely ballistic. Like it was, awesome. Like all through it, there was laughs, and there was like when it was complete silence when Korg fell apart. Everyone was like, "No, you cannot do this to my favorite rock man."
Yeah, I was screaming. I'm like, "No!"
It was good. It was great. I love that. That's why I do like opening night. As much as I'm like, shut the fuck up and watch the movie 9 times out of 10. If you're going to see something called Thor: Love and Thunder, a bit of noise and carry on is good.
Yeah. This gave me a little bit of Indian movie vibe, but it was good. It was good. And,
I hate it then.
Overall, it was a good time, and I wish it would have been more. I think it's a one-off for me. It's not as I wanted to see more connection, but I think maybe down the line it will make more sense, and I will have more fun with it and rate it a better movie. But I think I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, so I was satisfied.
And a hindsight with this stuff is a big thing too, especially now with them filling so many holes. I think that's
the Dark World. You go back and watch Thor: The Dark World now, and it's actually like that. But I like this movie. I liked it at the time.
Well, that's a fair step.
But because everyone's like, "I hate The Dark World. It's the worst Marvel movie," and it's like, yeah, it's not. It's pretty good actually.
Yeah, it is. It's maybe the third worst.
And it's like their worst is still pretty good.
This is the thing that I always come back to. It's like we're grading on a scale here. I think people that flipping out and don't like Doctor Strange or whatever, it's like, yeah, but put that up against Valerian and the Thousand Planets, which was your last huge sci-fi movie that was in the cinemas. I know it wasn't, but keeping it relevant.
I have to say it's better than Top Gun for me.
Now this I did vehemently
Top Gun
disagree
is cinema. Top Gun is just the perfect.
As much as I wanted it to be better than Top Gun, I do think I prefer Top Gun. So my thoughts:
I enjoyed it more than Top Gun, and I personally on that sort of because I like that kind of shit. I like sci-fi cheesy stuff, like as we all know, I really like Star Trek and stuff. So I really liked it on that level. But if you're objective, there's ups and downs. Whatever.
I'm more excited to rewatch Thor than I am Love and Thunder than I am Top Gun.
There you go.
The cinema that I went to watch it in, I went with Nat, my wife. She doesn't really go to the cinema often.
She liked it.
She loved it. No, it's a bit strong. It was good. Wasn't as good as Ragnarok, but I enjoyed it.
My wife,
which, as far as
she thought humor was forced.
Okay. The cinema I went.
You're forced.
Well, I mean, I went to the same cinema as Matt. It was off. It went.
Did you leave
off.
her at the cinema?
No. It's just like fine.
I can't wait to watch it again with some beers and a pizza. That's what I'm looking.
That kind of movie. It's another one of those. I said it about Doctor Strange. In a few years, people just love to watch them because they're just their own thing and they're fun and they're goofy and they're different. It doesn't matter that you don't know the rest of the films. You don't need to have seen any of the
No.
other Thor movies to watch this. In fact, I bet you if people watch this that hadn't seen the first 3 Thor movies, probably like it more, because obviously there's lots of people that say, "Oh, it's just Ragnarok again."
So a
It
good,
wasn't.
Just think about that for a second. These people cannot be helped. Just Ragnarok.
yeah.
Crazy.
Mhm. Is it a great Saturday would be day drinking, Guardians, Thor Ragnarok, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, couple of pizzas thrown in, few beers in there.
They're the ones I react to
good day.
best. Guardians, Guardians 2, Thor, those sort of space or like science fiction fantasy ones.
Guardians 2 is better written than this film.
Strong.
I've seen.
strong.
I think there is
Guardians 2 is the same thing in terms of comparing it. So you compare Guardians 2 to Guardians 1, and you compare this new Thor to
Guardians
Thor
2 is
Ragnarok.
better than
It's kind of like
Guardians 1.
these second ones.
Ooh.
They double down on everything that everybody liked about the one that came before, and so then people that weren't necessarily sold on the cheesy humor.
Iron Man 2 is better than Iron Man 1.
Iron Man 2 is better than Iron Man 1. Iron Man 2
Okay,
is really good.
people.
He
I'm
wants
just gonna
his
keep
parrot.
doing it.
Just give him his bird. He wants his
I
bird.
want my bird. I want my bird.
Bird.
This
You want a
one-
bird?
I
Look at a
really
bird.
like Iron Man 2. It's
Yeah, I
goofy.
Mickey
Probably
Russian Rogue.
well,
donut and
it's a
stuff.
similar thing that's what's happening now with these, with what happened with the Iron Man ones. Like Iron Man 3 was, they're just
My
different.
hot take is Iron Man 3 is a turning point for the whole of MCU, and I think it's a massively underrated movie.
Yep.
And
Oh, it's-
better than
I'm
all
with you
the
there.
ones that came
I'm with
before. I
you
like
there.
it more than Avengers. A very, very strong narrative arc. It's incredibly well written, and anyone that doesn't think so can.
It was
Can
quite
buy
funny.
some of the new prints that are coming next week.
Iron Man
For
3.
me.
Iron Man 3
Check
twins,
it out.
everybody.
Your mic cut out there when you said, and everyone who thinks Iron Man 3 is going to go. You might cut off at
Eat
the
my
time.
shorts. I said, eat my shorts.
Oh, I thought you said fuck themselves, but
No, I said
either
eat my shorts like Bart Simpson, because it's a stupid, ridiculous, childish thing to say. Because really, if other people don't like it, that's fine. I don't really care.
No,
Yeah,
I
that's what
don't
it all
care.
comes down to. If you don't like it, that's okay. You can be fucking boring.
The only thing that I care about with other people's opinions is if that enough people like it to warrant another one.
Hmm.
That's the
It'd be
only
interesting to
way it
see how this
interests
one hit,
me.
because obviously Doctor Strange was very mixed.
I
It
think
was
the
coming off
bajillion
back of
dollars will be
Spider-Man,
fine.
and so that made Doctor Strange a really big hit, didn't it? Coming off the
Yeah.
back of Spider, and now this is coming off the back of Doctor Strange. I wonder if it's gonna.
I'm gonna go see
It'll
it
be
again
interesting to
with
see how
three
the rest
kids,
of
I
the
think.
year goes for him. Hey, like Black
Black
Panther
Panther's
2
gonna be massive.
is, but it's fraught with controversy. Like already, that you got the loudmouths that don't want them to do another act. They want to recast it instead of like go to another character having the mantle and all this sort of bullshit. And it's like, fuck, man, just let them try and make a story. Can we just stop going on about it? I know we've
Can
just
we
spent
watch
an
it
hour
first
talking
and
about
then-
it.
Yeah.
It's our fault somewhat. Like people like us that get into it, but I think we're coming at it from a positive angle, whereas there's a contingent that everything's fucking negative. And it's like, I get it. You loved Chad. He was awesome. I loved him too. But let's let them try and do something. Yeah.
It's how they deal with it. I agree with you. It's how they deal with that, isn't it? That's going to be interesting. But they've not put a foot wrong with it. It's not going to be like, oh, and he's gone back to his own planet. It's not going to be that kind of thing.
It's a random
style.
Asian guy. It's not going to be just some fucking dude. It's like they'll give it pathos, that they know that the Black Panther mantle means something, both in the fictional world of the MCU and ours. Like I don't think they're going to fuck this up. They've still got Ryan Coogler. Like that dude gets it.
I think the first 20 minutes, half an hour of it, are going to be fully about
Emotional.
that,
Mm.
about Chadwick Boseman. And
Then you've got-
Look
get
at
into the story.
Then you've
Every
got
time I see
Martin
their
Freeman
logo,
taking
every
on the Black Panther mantle, and everybody will be fine with it.
He's the
He's
White
like
Wolf.
What if
the
it's
worst
What if
thing
they just
about that
keep
whole
passing the
movie.
helmet around?
Oh,
Like
shit.
everyone gets.
You
it,
keep
know?
talking, guys. Just a doorbell ring.
Oh, okay.
He's got a
I was going to
delivery.
wrap it up.
Let's
Just
let's
wrap
see
it up while
the
he's gone.
week, Nick, huh? You can't do
No,
it
we
now.
can't. We can't do
That's
it.
the
We
You can never
power.
leave.
need to know who was at Tom's door. So yeah.
We need to see what he
Yeah,
got.
it's a bunch of posters, man.
Oh,
Hey, at least someone's getting posters.
I've got
well,
a poster next Wednesday.
You have.
Oh yes, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, I'll
American.
throw it up and you can talk.
American Werewolf in London.
Ah,
Exactly.
there
I
you
There
go.
it
couldn't
is,
come up with
people.
a really good concept.
There's the
So
reg.
Flory came up with the eyeball thing on the word London, and then I executed it.
Yeah, and then we had 3 days back and forth about exactly where the eyes should be placed and the kerning, disagreements about what looks buzz-eyed, what doesn't look buzz-eyed, and I think this turned out well in the end.
To see like the process of like rage pulling hair out. That doesn't look right.
It's a cool poster.
It's a very good
How
poster.
how would one purchase this poster?
So it
On the
goes on
internet.
sale on the internet. It goes on sale on Wednesday, so it'll be on Vice Press, exclusive to Vice Press. So Vice Press are these. There's a regular edition of 225, variant edition of 175, and then an editions A2 variant, both 24 by all 24 by 36, apart from the editions, which is A2 6 p.m. Vice Press. Yeah.
Look at
So
that. That's why we have James, guys. That's why we have James.
super organized.
Get me my posters.
So I think
I
that's
blacked
everything.
out there.
Is that everything? That's everything
Yeah.
from us here. Should we wait for Tom to get back so he can say
Wait
bye?
for Tom to
Yes,
get back.
please.
You
We'll
have
wait
to.
for Tom to get back.
Please do.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Oh, what's an
Love
what's an
and Thunder.
addendum?
But when Cork says that her name is Love and then it's Love and Thunder at the end.
Yeah.
Because he called her my love the whole way through the fucking thing, and I'm like, oh my god, they've done. It's sort of like this cheese, but like it fits perfectly somehow. How good was that?
And she's
Hey,
got
you know what else
laser
was?
vision. What was that all about?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, you're
Yes.
born of eternity. Maybe it comes with a few sort of perks. Yeah.
God,
You know what else I
Jesus,
like
God.
that we haven't talked about? Just as like I don't care if anyone's watching anymore. That Stranger Things is all right. Hey,
Oh,
good show. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah.
Eddie on top of the fucking van.
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
Geez, absolutely smashing it. All these Gen Z kids finding out this new band, Metallica.
Metallica. I thought they were a t-shirt brand. That kind of thing. I've
Fuck,
been
when-
learning.
mate, when Max's arms started snapping, I was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah,
I think-
they really did her in.
They really went for it, yeah. What do you reckon, dead or no?
No, I think, and I also don't think Eddie's dead. Well, I do think he's dead, but I think
Eddie's
So I wouldn't be surprised because it happened, and it's thematically
upside.
interesting with her brother that she's going to get possessed first because her mind is elsewhere.
I
in
think
the
so.
upside down.
she's going
So,
to be.
so the
villainous
so
turn.
Vecna or one of them.
He'll
join
be
her.
in her. He'll be in her to like go after
And in
because it would be thematically relevant if Elle has to destroy her own only friend. But she
Yeah.
really doesn't have. She only has one girlfriend. That was kind of like the whole that sort of what do you call it montage of all their memories together,
They're
which
going
were really
big,
just
aren't they?
over.
It's like the whole of the town is gone / going to be.
I thought that was a pretty big move because this show, if anything, doesn't commit to killing anyone or doing anything that sticks.
Yeah, so far, it's
So-
always gone back to the status quo at the end of each season, and they've just
Mm.
gone, "Oh, it was a fire. There was
Yeah.
an electrical fire."
Yeah,
This
cover
time,
it
it's
up,
like, no,
but-
a portal to hell has opened up, and everything's gone black and white. And
So what? I've got to stop saying so. Sorry. They have said there's
So-
going to be a time jump, though, haven't they? So
it has to
That's
because those kids are
quite
48
interesting.
years old now.
yeah, Will is like, "Hi, everybody."
just put.
He's just out there like ripping logs apart for the fire, like Captain America and Ultron or whatever.
With the same haircut, though, obviously.
Oh, with the bowl cut. Did you see that meme that's
Seen
going
that
around
meme
with the
with the-
thumb?
You. And it's,
I thought that kid for I don't want to say they're not good actors, but like they're child actors that have grown up on this one show over the past couple of years, right? So some of their deliveries can always like they're not always there. Like you're like,
No.
you don't quite have it. But I thought what that kid's doing with what little he has to do could be very, very important, even on a history of TV level. Like, you know, you're in love with your best mate and don't quite know how to put it and all this sort of
Yeah.
stuff and
Got
just
the
like the
neck twin
different-
as well, though, isn't he? So
yeah, that stuff, the
back
different
to-
versions of like love and like all this and how that works growing up, especially in the 80s when you can't just be like,
Yeah.
maybe like kids can. I've never had to come out to my friends, so I don't have to I don't really have experience, but I assume it's slightly easier now than in 1986 if you have to come out at school. So that could be very interestingly explored for a young man in that time period.
It's going to be,
I just thought that scene, his little like speech with Mike in the back of the van when fucking Mike's just like, huh? Like,
his
like,
brother,
you're right, man.
Brother's like, interesting what he's
Yeah,
saying.
but it's like, Mike, you getting what he's putting down here, bud? Picking up what he's putting down?
Mike's an idiot.
She's phenomenal, though, the girl that plays Max. The lady that plays Max, girl, is a woman. Sadie Sink. Yeah, she's great in Fear Street as well. Thought she was brilliant.
I was gonna say
they're all really good. That English guy that plays Eddie, he's brilliant.
Oh yeah.
English people are really good at doing American voices, aren't they?
Yeah.
He wasn't.
They just need
a guard.
We need Australians, and they need English. That's what's happening. We're just pulling over the Australian actors.
How do you guys feel about the end of Ramsay Street? Yeah, that's coming up.
I haven't watched it in 20 years.
38 years.
Nobody's watched it here
No one watches it here either. It's not even on like the main channel that it used to be.
Since Kylie was on it when it was first on, that's when it was like big, because it was in the wake of Crocodile Dundee, and over here we were for some reason in the 80s and 90s we were just like Australia.
You get neighbours over there, Tom?
What's that?
No. Crocodile Dundee, though, surely everybody knows that. We went.
Yeah.
Home and Away was the one that was in our house. We were a Home and Away household.
Yeah, Caitlin.
That's a big choice to make.
There was that one, The Tribe.
Oh, Hemsey was off Home and Away.
That program, The Tribe, about the kids. That was Australian, wasn't it?
Round the Twist as well. We had Round the Twist. That was great.
Obviously the best
Terrifying.
one was Heartbreak High. That was a good.
Yeah.
With the current bad guy du jour, old mate, with his busted, went through a windscreen, became a baddie.
I haven't realized
Australia. You've done nothing else.
The Block. We watched The Block. I was saying to Nat the other day, we've completely become desensitized to Australian accents now. Australian accents are just as normal as an English accent. I think we're talking to you too much, Florian, is watching
Australian
roughly
go up at the end. Don't you when you're talking?
Like you're asking a question?
Yeah, nah. Have you experienced much yeah, nah, yeah yet? Do we know what it is?
I hear that every time because this is all foreign languages for me, so I can totally hear it.
And I guess we're a Yorkshire type voice, which is different.
We're I think for where we live, Matt, we don't really have strong accents.
Martha the other day said Bath. Like,
Bluey.
Who are you, child?
But we say Bath.
So,
that's
right.
Bluey, right.
I think this is a fair point to wrap it up because we're waffling now about accents.
She says she'll give it a red hot go all the time. I'll give it a red hot go. It's like, oh my.
That's so Australian. It's outrageous.
I'll give it a red hot go.
That is outrageous.
That's the best thing. Right, let's wrap it up. So this is episode 17. We'll be back. I think you're going to try and
This was 16.
This was 16. I think you're going to try and sling this up on Friday. So this should go up on the 8th of July, and we'll be back next Thursday, which is next Thursday, of July. So we'll be back with episode 17 in a few days. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace out.